What are the best body washes for bumpy skin? In today's video, I'm going to be giving you a roundup of some of the best things you can be using in the shower to wash your skin for smoother skin. There are many reasons to have bumpy skin. Number one, it's getting into summer, hot, humid, sweaty. You may be dealing with bouts of itchy bumps on the body called heat rash, prickly heat. The medical term for this is miliaria. It is a common condition that a lot of people deal with in hot, humid climates, and it's related to blockage of the eccrine sweat glands that produce your sweat to cool your body. When these glands get plugged up, depending on how deep in the gland the plug goes, you can get anywhere from little clear water blisters all the way to frank itchy red bumps and little pus bumps. When you're dealing with this bout of itchy bumps, you may be tempted to scrub the skin, to use a bunch of exfoliating ingredients in an effort to exfoliate away the bumps. This is the wrong approach. You don't want to do that because the skin is actually quite vulnerable, and this can lead to more problems, aggravating the heat rash for you. Instead, what you want to do is take cool showers, which will help to soothe the skin. When you have miliaria, heat rash, especially covering a large surface area, those sweat glands are plugged up. They don't allow for good sweat production to cool your body, so you're vulnerable to overheating. You really want to be quite gentle with your skin. Now, when it comes to body washes to cleanse the skin without aggravating this condition, I suggest leaning into soothing, hydrating ingredients. And one of the best ingredients in body washes, lotions, moisturizers, etc., which I'm a huge fan of, it's great for sensitive skin, irritation, rashes, atopic dermatitis, is colloidal oatmeal. Aveeno's Daily Body Wash, fragrance-free, is a wonderful choice for basic hygiene for those of you dealing with itchy bumps from heat rash. I like it not only because it has colloidal oatmeal, but I like that it's fragrance-free and super mild. Things that you put on the skin are more likely to be irritating in the setting of heat rash. And as a reminder, you don't need to use body wash from head to toe. So if you're dealing with a breakout of heat rash all over your back, skip body wash there until it heals. Just use water. Speaking of heat, humidity, and the summer months, a lot of you guys deal with a condition that can get much worse in the summer because it's related to that little yeast, Malassezia, that lives on everyone's skin, and that little yeast thrives in heat and humidity. So much so that it can kind of take over, trickle down into your hair follicle, and cause a type of folliculitis called pityrosporum folliculitis or Malassezia folliculitis. A lot of people refer to this condition as fungal acne. It can often happen on the upper chest, the back, and you get these little, what look like pimples, little itchy red bumps. They all kind of appear the same. And what you want to do here is to wash with a body wash or even a shampoo that has active ingredients in it that will target that little yeast. And there are actually many different ingredients on the market. You will find these ingredients in medicated dandruff shampoos. Recently, I went on a journey to look for a bar cleanser with one of these ingredients because previously, if you've been watching my videos for a while, I would recommend the Vanicream Z Bar. It has zinc pyrithione in it, but Vanicream unfortunately discontinued it. So I came across and have been trying out and using myself the ZP bar from Burke Therapeutics. You can get this on Amazon. It is a fragrance-free mild cleansing bar with 2% zinc pyrithione, which helps calm down the burden of that little yeast that really can thrive and lead to not only fungal acne, aka pityrosporum folliculitis, but also that other similar skin condition, tinea versicolor. You don't typically have bumps with that, but rather you have patches of discoloration with a little bit of flakiness. So how do you use this cleansing bar? Just lather it to affected areas, like if it's on your chest, under your arm area, your back, your thighs, wherever you have it. Let that lather sit on your skin for 5 minutes and then rinse it off. Initially, do this every day for a week or so, and then after that, if things start to improve, you can back down to just doing this a few few times a week as maintenance. Unfortunately, this condition often comes right back, so I do suggest continuing to use this a few times a week as maintenance. Now, many of you deal with a debilitating bumpy skin condition called hidradenitis suppurativa. This tends to lead to the formation of what people describe as boils, large nodules that come together, they can drain, and they can be super painful. A lot of patients with hidradenitis suppurativa are advised to use a over-the-counter or prescription antiseptic as a wash. And the reason is not because this is an infectious condition at its core, it's actually an inflammatory condition, but rather the bacteria that can colonize these areas, especially when the hidradenitis suppurativa is flared up, the bacteria can come there, form a film that leads to recurrent flares, worsens the condition. That's why antiseptic washes are recommended. And one that I recommend you can buy at the drugstore is called chlorhexidine 4%. It's sold under the brand name Hibiclens, Hibiclens, but you don't have to buy that name brand version. In the drugstore, you will find the store brand often has their own version, same active drug. The way to use this is when you get in the shower, rinse the skin in the water, in lukewarm water, and then put a small amount into a washcloth and lather it to the affected areas. For HS, for hidradenitis suppurativa, try and let it sit on your skin for about 10 minutes. Letting it sit on there for a good 10 minutes really helps to allow for the chlorhexidine to get in there and help to reduce the burden of bacteria, and then rinse it off. As a side note, you can use this for helping with body odor as well. If you don't have hidradenitis suppurativa, you might want to try this just under the arms as a wash to help control body odor. It's also wonderful to use on your feet to help control foot odor. One word of warning about chlorhexidine is you don't want to use it around your ears. There's concern that if it gets into your ears, it could be damaging. If you deal with hidradenitis suppurativa, watch my video all about hidradenitis suppurativa because I go into detail with a lot more personal care, hygiene recommendations, and tips that can help you out in terms of managing, controlling, and preventing flares. This is another condition that can be especially problematic in the summer because of heat, humidity, friction, moisture trapping on the skin, and that is recurrences of bacterial folliculitis. Oftentimes, Staphylococcus aureus bacteria. Some people are colonized with this bacteria in their nose, and they deal with frequent bouts of what looks like acne, painful pimples that can be itchy as well. Oftentimes people will develop this on the buttocks. You can develop it under the arms. You can develop it on the legs. Really anywhere. One thing I recommend for this is considering doing a bleach bath. Yes, you heard me right, a bleach bath. What you're going to do is to draw a bath with lukewarm water, comfortable enough temperature so that you can sit in there without boiling your skin or getting too frigid. And you're going to add 1/4 to 1/2 cup of bleach. If you fill your tub all the way, add 1/2 cup. If you fill your tub half of the way, use 1/4 cup. You're gonna pour that into the water. You're gonna mix it up, and then you're gonna get in there and sit in there for about 10 minutes. This will help decolonize the skin of that bacteria that contributes to folliculitis. Now, after you have finished soaking in the tub, you're gonna drain the tub and thoroughly rinse the skin. You don't wanna leave the bleach water residue behind on the skin. After you rinse the skin, make sure when you get out of the tub or the shower, you just gently pat dry the skin of drips and apply a moisturizer. This will help reduce dryness. I know it sounds bizarre to be bathing in bleach, but this recipe that I've outlined here is essentially slightly more chlorinated than your average swimming pool, and it is pretty effective for many skin conditions. In fact, I have a video detailing all of the potential uses for bleach baths. As a side note, bleach baths can also be helpful if you have hidradenitis bumps. If you don't have a tub and you want something to wash with that will help with folliculitis, just like with hidradenitis suppurativa, chlorhexidine, aka Hibiclens, can likewise be helpful. Use it in a similar way. Lather it with a washcloth to the affected areas while you're in the shower. Let it sit on the skin for a good 10 minutes, and then rinse it off. This will help cut down on recurrences. Okay, many people who deal with bumpy skin or rough and bumpy skin deal with a condition known as keratosis pilaris. This is actually a dry skin condition. There's often overlap with people who have keratosis pilaris. They may often have also atopic dermatitis. So you get a buildup of dry skin in the hair follicle that leads to those little rough bumps. They can become red. This is a condition that you have to be careful when it comes to your bathing, because the bathing habits can help and can worsen keratosis pilaris. So make sure you're bathing in lukewarm water so as to not further dry out the skin, and make sure that you are not overbathing, like bathing multiple times a day. That can further dry out the skin. And you want to make sure you rinse the skin thoroughly of any cleanser or soap residue, because if that's left behind on the skin surface, it will further dry out the skin and aggravate this condition. But something that definitely can help you out when it comes to keratosis pilaris is using your washcloth. Get in the shower. Go ahead and shampoo your hair, condition your hair. Make sure you've been in the shower for a little bit, not a long time, because you want to keep the shower short. But do whatever else it is that you need to do. And in the meantime, you're in the water and you're getting the skin wet. This is really important, because what you're going to do next is you're going to take a washcloth, a damp washcloth, and gently, in a circular fashion, exfoliate the rough and bumpy skin, whether it be on your arms, your thighs, your chest. And the reason it's important to make sure that you get your skin adequately wet first is because those little rough bumps are going to dislodge and come off much more readily than if you just hop in there right away and start scrubbing and rubbing. But a really great body wash for keratosis pilaris is the CeraVe SA cleansing wash. The reason this is a great option is because the salicylic acid can aid in exfoliating those dry, rough bumps. But the cleansing formula also has some hydrating, moisturizing ingredients that can be left behind on the skin after you've rinsed the cleanser residue off via a mechanism known as coacervation that is possible. Cleanser ingredients can remain on the skin surface after the cleanser residue is rinsed off. And these beneficial ingredients for keratosis pilaris include ceramides, hyaluronic acid, and niacinamide. All of these are really good for not only hydrating the skin, but for helping to support the needs of the skin's moisture barrier. And many people with keratosis pilaris, they also have problems with their skin barrier. Maybe they have what's called a filaggrin mutation. They were born with a genetic tendency to lose water from the skin because they have inadequate levels or improperly formed filaggrin, a key component of the skin's moisture barrier. So I really like this wash for that reason for people with keratosis pilaris. But again, make sure you rinse all the residue off so that way you don't leave anything that could be drying and irritating behind. If you don't have full-on keratosis pilaris, but you do deal with just rough skin texture and little dry bumps from time to time, this approach also can be very helpful, and I do suggest the SA wash for that reason. Acne breakouts on the body, those sure are bumpy, whether it's comedonal acne, which is the medical term for blackheads and whiteheads, or if it's, full-on cystic inflammatory acne where you have bumps. People often get acne breakouts on the chest, the upper back, the buttocks. And in this case, one of my all-time favorite washes for acne on the body is a benzoyl peroxide wash. Benzoyl peroxide helps to reduce the burden of the acne-causing bacteria, Cutibacterium acnes. It's also mildly exfoliating and anti-inflammatory. Similar to these other washes I have suggested here, the way to use a benzoyl peroxide wash is to lather it to the affected areas, leave it on the skin for a few minutes. You don't need to leave it on for like a full 10 minutes, but anywhere from 3 to 5 for acne, and then rinse it off. Now, if you have acne, chances are you have encountered an over-the-counter benzoyl peroxide treatment at least once or twice, and you'll notice that there are a variety of different forms, vehicles for which you can try out benzoyl peroxide. But the reason I like the wash in particular is, well, a few. First of all, benzoyl peroxide is a drying ingredient for the most part, depending on the formula. With a wash form where you're just taking advantage of what's called a short contact therapy, you basically reduce the dryness risk associated with it. The other reason that I like benzoyl peroxide wash over leave-on, especially for the body, is benzoyl peroxide unfortunately can and does bleach fabric. So it's not ideal if you have acne breakouts like on your chest to use a leave-on benzoyl peroxide that's then going to bleach your clothing, ruin your shirts. So I love the wash for that reason. Just make sure, again, you rinse it off of the skin. As a side note, benzoyl peroxide washes can also be really helpful for hidradenitis suppurativa, for bacterial folliculitis, and for body odor. Last but not least, I want to talk about bumpy skin from shaving. Ingrown hairs. If you get ingrown hairs, listen up, because this can make a huge difference for you. Whether it be under your arms, on your legs, the groin area, even on your face, although this video is about body care. You don't necessarily need a specific body wash, but before you shave, whether it be you're shaving in the shower, you're shaving at the sink, make sure you get the skin good and wet beforehand with lukewarm water. The reason is because this makes the hair easier to cut, and that's important because what leads to ingrown hairs is that, especially for people who have curly coiled hair types, the hair, as it starts to grow out, it grows down and pierces the neighboring skin and starts to grow downward where it's not supposed to be. And that leads to a bump that can turn into a pus bump. And so if you cut the hair when it's dry, you're more likely to cut it with a sharper point. It's not going to get a good blunt cut. So that's tip number one. But as far as body washes to use, like say in the groin area or under the arms, you might try that CeraVe SA wash I mentioned for keratosis pilaris, because salicylic acid helps to exfoliate the skin a bit and can help exfoliate the skin over the bump to a point that it helps the bump kind of extrude and come out of the skin. It's also helpful to use before you shave. When you shave, always make sure you use a shaving cream, lotion. Recently, I have discovered shave oils, which I really, really love, to lubricate the skin surface. Also, take short strokes in the direction the hair is growing, not against the grain. Try your best not to shave over the same area multiple times, because that further leads to an increased risk of ingrown hairs as well as shave burn. When you are done shaving and you rinse the skin, apply a moisturizer, just a plain moisturizer. A product that I swear by, I've been recommending this long before I was on YouTube, and it can be super effective for people who deal with ingrown hairs to soothe them and help clear them up a little bit faster. It's gentle enough to use on the legs, the bikini area, under the arms, the face, the neck area. You know, a lot of people get ingrown hairs, especially on the neck. Is this product called 10 Skin. 10 Skin is hydrating, moisturizing, and it has acetyl salicylic acid. The acetyl salicylic acid in this is soothing, and it provides some symptomatic relief. You can use this morning and night to the ingrown hairs. And the way to use it is when the skin is dry, just get a little cotton ball, soak it in a few drops of this, and apply it to the skin. It can be left on the skin. If you're someone who waxes and you know you get those little bumps after waxing, this is a game changer. Swear by it. It's really good, fragrance free. All right, y'all, that is a roundup of body washes that can help with different types of bumps on the body, bumpy skin, skin texture. I hope this was informative. Everything I have mentioned in this video, I'm going to link in the description box. But if you guys enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.